Hello guys, welcome to a new video. And in this video we are going to go another local privilege escalation, and we are going to go over unquoted service path. And what basically is unquoted service path? Well, this is when a service is created and whose executable path contains spaces. So like you can see over here, the path to the executable, right? To the service that gets executed contains spaces. You see those subfolders have spaces, and is not enclosed in within quotes. That's when it becomes an unquoted service path, and it could lead a user to gain system privilege in a in any Windows server or Windows. It could even be Windows 7, Windows 10, any Windows OS, basically. And as you can see over here, this is how it basically happens, because whenever it is unquoted, whenever it doesn't have quotes, whenever they make it to not have quotes and it have spaces in those subfolders, what happens is that the Windows system basically, in order to get to that some executable.exe, it tries to find it by first it goes into the program folder, but it tries to run it as an executable, looking for an executable, and then it goes into the folder, and then it goes into the other subfolder, and it tries to run a executable for a executable, right? Because it has a space, but it doesn't do the subfolder part. It only does the first part. And then it moves to the other one. It tries to run an executable, and then it goes into the folder, and then it goes to the other one, and it tries to run an executable. So that's how it basically works. So the way to basically exploit this is that if you have access to any of these, let's say that if you have access to a subfolder, what you can do in there, you can create an executable via Parrot OS or Kali Linux to send you a reverse shell, and you can cache that reverse shell, which is what we're going to do, and we are going to be able to become whatever. If the service is running under the administrator, we are going to become the administrator. If it is running under a local system, then we are going to become local system, which has more privilege than just a regular user. And you guys are going to see that on another video. So that's what we are going to be doing. If you want to read more about unquoted path, you can go to this link. I'm also going to add it to this video description. So what I want to do first, I'm going to show you how we can find this, and how I'm going to show you how it works, and I'm going to perform that for you guys. So let's go ahead and exit out of here, and let's go into my Windows device. This is my Windows device, and what we are going to be doing is that we are going to run from the CMD, from the command prompt. We are going to go into CD. We are going to go into my folder AD, which is where I have all the tools, and I'm going to leave a link for this tool that we are going to be using. The first tool that you guys have seen before that we are going to be using is JAWS. So if you go dir in here, you can see that I have JAWS -enum.ps1. That's the one that we're going to use. So I cannot clear. Okay. So what we are going to be executing is going to be this command. Hopefully you guys can see it in here. So PowerShell, we want to bypass the execution policy. We are given an execution policy bypass, and then we are going to provide which file we want to execute with PowerShell, and which one we are going to bypass that execution policy, which is just .enum. And then we are going to say that everything that runs under jaws.enum, I want it to save it in this file in here. But I already ran this, so I'm just going to name this like jaws -enum.txt, and that's going to run JAWS for us. And what we're going to do, since I already ran it, I'm going to go ahead and open the file because it takes a little bit, and I don't want to make you guys wait. Here it is. And here we are going to run find it, and we want to find unquoted path. Here it is. And as you can see, unquoted service path, and you can see that it found the ABIS web server, and here's the unquoted service path. As you can see, it has this one over here, and it also has this one over here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. What we're going to do, I'm going to show you what we are going to be doing. Let's go ahead and open Notepad. So the way that this is going to work is that it first, like you guys saw before, first it is going to try to run the program executable in here, right? And if it doesn't find anything, then it is going to go into the ABIS in here folder, right? We don't need all that, sorry for that. There we go. And it's going to try to run an executable in here, right? And then it's going to move on to this one over here. ABIS web, and then it's going to try to run a executable over here. Or actually, it is not, because that's where it lands. So it is just going to go straight into the folder. So the way that we can exploit this is that if we have access, write access to the program folder, we can go ahead and create a basically an executable that can send a reverse shell to us, and we can place it in here if we have write access. If we don't, we can try it in this folder in here, and we can try to drop the abis.exe executable in here if we have read and write access to that. If not, if we have read and write access to that one, then what we can do is we can create an executable, name it this, and then we can stop and then start the servers. So that is another basically requirements is either that you need to have access to any of this path to read to write, and you also need to be able to stop or start the servers. If you don't have access to stop and start the service, what you could do is you can just go ahead and reboot the server, and when the server reboots and comes back online, it's going to start that by default, and then you're going to be able to run that executable. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing first, let's go ahead and check to make sure that we have access to start and stop it. And as you can see in here, we do have access to stop and start that service. And if you want to see that it is indeed unquoted, you can see over here the path doesn't have quotes in between. It needs to have quotes in between in here, so we can get rid of that unquoted path vulnerability. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This one does not have one either, because it doesn't have a folder which has spaces in between. I'm trying to see if I can find one. I don't think I'm going to find one. Let's see this one, last one. Okay, so this one either. Okay, so as you can see on those, there's no spaces in between. Like in this one has a space in between, and this one has a space in between, and this one has a space in between. And that's why you need to have quotes, one at the end and one at the beginning. Okay, so let's go ahead and first we are going to create an executable, and we are going to call it abis.exe, and we are going to drop it in here. And let's also verify that we do have access to any of those folders. So let's go ahead and go to this PC, C drive, program files. Let's see if we have access to the program files. I don't think we do. Security, the admin, this any users in this computer only have access to read and execute. We don't have access to write. Let's go ahead and see in this one, see if we have access. The system has full access, the admin has full access, and look at that. any user in this computer or in this server has full access to it. So we are going to be able to drop an executable in here, and we can get a reverse shell through PowerCat, which we're going to use in PowerCat. But first, let's go ahead and run that Kali Linux reverse shell, and we are going to convert that into an executable. So here, let's go ahead and open a new window. What I want to do is I want to go into the desktop, make that bigger for you guys. There we go. So in here, I'm in the desktop. I want to make just a directory to make this look cool, organized. And you can see in here we don't have anything. So what we're going to be using is we are going to use MS Venom to create a reverse shell, and the reverse shell is going to be to my Windows server itself. So I need to gather that IP config. So the IP address is going to be 192.168.1.55. So let's go ahead and copy it. Go ahead and go back to Kali Linux. You can use Kali Linux, to Parrot OS. You can use Parrot OS or Kali Linux or whatever machine that has a MS Venom installed in it. So let's go to do MS Venom. And over here, we're going to say that we want to do a Windows x64 because it's a 64-bit server that I'm using. Shell reverse TCP, and the local host to where I want to send this is going to be my IP address of the server itself. There we go, 192.168.1.155. The local port, whatever port you want. I want to just do 1234, and then we are going to save it as an executable. So I want it to be an executable, and we are going to save this into abis.exe. And what that's going to do is going to create that executable file, and it's going to say that I want to send a reverse shell to this IP address in this port. So we are going to be listening with PowerCat, which is going to catch our reverse shell on port 1234, and I'm going to show you that. So now if you go to ls, you can see that we have that executable. So now we need to have a way to basically download this executable. The way that you can do that, you can run a simple Python website, simple HTTP server, and here it is. It is listening on port 8000. So now I need to know what is my IP config, and I'm IF config. There we go. Here's my IP. Right. So I need to go into this simple server port 8000, and I want to get this file over here. So since I am on the same network as my Kali Linux, I can go ahead and start Internet Explorer. And I want to go to this IP 8000 abis executable. There we go, .exe. And you can see in here it is downloading, and we are going to just save it as, we are going to save it in my desktop. Boom, done. Here it is, saved. So now if you go back to Kali Linux, you can see that somebody did a get from this IP address 192.168.1.55. So great, we were able to download it, and here it is. So now we want to drop that executable in here because that's what we have write access to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control-C, copy it, and I'm going to paste it in here because I have access to read and write access. I have full access to this folder. So now what's going to happen is whenever I stop the service, what it's going to do is it is going to find look for program.exe. If it doesn't find any program.exe, it's going to go to abis.exe, and it's going to hit that abis.exe, and that abis.exe is going to execute this executable that I put in here, and it's going to send me a reverse shell that I'm going to catch with PowerCat. And PowerCat is basically a powerful, PowerShell function which lets you catch reverse shell. That's what it basically does. It's like NC or Netcat. That's what it does. So first, I'm going to go into AD, directory, you can see it that I have it in here, PowerCat. So what I want to do, I want to import module PowerCat. There we go. So now I want to start a listener. The way that you do that is PowerCat -L, which is we are going to start a listener, and the P, -P, is going to be the port 1234, because remember we gave it a port of 1234, and it's going to send it to this IP address, which is the same IP address as my server, as this server. Okay, and I want to do a verbose. There we go. So we are going to listen in here. We are going to open the service. And we are going to stop it, or start, because it is not running right now. So we are going to start that service, and there we go. We just got a reverse shell. As you can see here, if you say host name student, but who am I? I am the anti-authority system, which means that we have full access to the system. If you do a who am I groups, you can see that this guy is part of the built-in administrators. So since he's part of the built-in administrator, what I could do right now is either I can create a new user, or I can add my current user from here. If I do who am I can add student want to the local administrators in here. So how do I do that? You can do a net local group. And before I do that, I want to show you guys that I'm not part of the who am I groups, that I'm not part of the built-in administrators. So you can see that I'm part of the built-in users, remote desktop users, interactive authenticator users, and RDP group, and all that. So what's going to happen is when I do a net local group administrators, and I'm going to say that add a student one, it is going to add student one to the built-in administrator. So now if I do a who am I groups, let's see, built-in, did it not work? Group interactive built-in users. Let's run it again. Did it not do it? Administrators. It was completed. So let's go ahead and go into the groups. Enter my password. And there we go, student one, as you can see. So now I am a admin, and we can test that by, let's go ahead and close this command prompt, do a CMD, and I want to run this as an administrator. And I'm going to use student one, right? Student one, password 123. And there we go. I was able to gain local privilege on this server. So now I am an admin, and I can do whatever I want to this server. So that's how you do a unquoted path vulnerability, which we use the Avis for this one. So thank you guys for watching.